I will not accept a life that I don't deserve. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and we finally made it. We made it to the conclusion of Ty West's twisted Mia Goth themed movie series. We made it to the finale, the third movie. It's MaXXXine is coming to theaters on July 5th, 2024. It is the third in the, I don't really know what you call it, like the Maxine Pearl series that started with X in 2022, continued on with Pearl in 2022, and now we have Maxine in 2024, the conclusion to this series, I guess. So is Ty West's strange 80s vision a fitting conclusion? My hot take is I think you should watch it with a caveat. But look, I was between a watch now and a watch later on this. I think ultimately I enjoyed it enough. I'm a Ty West fan. I think X is phenomenal. Pearl was less good, but still had its charm. Maxine is kind of in between. I don't think it's as good as X. I don't think it's as bad as Pearl. I think it kind of sits somewhere in between, and it has a lot of things I really liked about it. I love the style. I love the slow burn. I love Mia Goth. I love Mia Goth and everything. She is fantastic. And it really does feel like an 80s movie. Each of Ty West's films have felt like they are like plucked right out of a different era. X was like, I don't know, 70s, the start of VHS, kind of like low budget movies. Pearl was like a 50s or 60s kind of like nostalgia film, it felt like. Maxine is definitely an 80s film through and through, and I enjoyed that a lot about it. So I think you should ultimately watch, especially if you've seen the other movies in the series. You're going to want to see the conclusion of Ty West's twisted world that he has built. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like. Really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in like the recap and ending section. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, and you might not. There are some surprises. There's a kind of a big ending as well. I would turn it off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know I get to those spoilers. So, in Maxine, you have Maxine, our favorite budding adult film star from the movie X. She is now a kind of like seasoned adult film star. She has been making movies for a while. She's well known in the adult film industry, but she wants to break into mainstream movies. She wants to break into mainstream Hollywood, and so she goes for it. But is she going to be able to make that jump? And is this jump going to be a little bit more deadly than she expected? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So things I loved about this movie. The first is evident right from the start, the 80s feel. It definitely feels like a film plucked out of the 80s. You've got amazing music. You've got really nice like 80s style text. You've got VHS kind of like line scans. You've got camera shots that feel like they're from the 80s, especially some of like the camera techniques with like some of the split screen that they have and some of the, the frame manipulation they have. It is a really great looking film, and it feels authentic to the era that Ty West is trying to capture. The second thing I like the slow burn. This is a very different feel from X and Pearl. This one's a little bit more of a thriller, kind of a slasher-ish thriller. So X was a slasher, but this one feels more like, I don't know, like a crime thriller. And so because of that, you have a very slow buildup, a drip feed of information. You have a lot of suspects. You're not sure who is, trying to sabotage this whole project, trying to like influence Maxine. And so because of that, you get a really nice slow burn as you're trying to figure all that out. The third thing I love, probably should put this first, Mia Goth. She is fantastic in every one of these movies. Maxine is no different. She is just a national treasure. I love Mia Goth. I think she is just so talented and so fun to watch on screen. She definitely transforms into a more seasoned actor in this film. In X, she was kind of new, but she had that X factor. In Maxine, she is a little bit more seasoned. She's trying to break into the industry, so she is feeling a little different there, but she definitely still has that X factor, and it is wonderful to see. The fourth thing I love the effects. This is ultimately a horror movie, and it has some good practical effects. Not as many practical effects as I would have expected, but there are still some really good, gruesome practical effects, from some of the bodies to some of the gore to some of the things that happen to people that look very, very realistic, that look very painful and very real. There's no worries about your suspension of disbelief because I think it really errs on the side of practical. So you are going to see some gruesome things, and if that is your jam, as it should be if you're watching X, Pearl, and now Maxine, then you'll be excited for it. And the last thing I liked the ending. It feels like an over-the-top ending right out of an 80s movie. That is what it's supposed to be. This is an 80s type film, and so the ending follows that as well. So, things I didn't love as much about this film. You might see some repeats here. First, the ending. It is a little bit unfulfilling. It feels like it kind of comes out of left field. Again, it's tough to fault it because it does feel like it is accurate to like a bad 80s movie, like, what the era would have produced. But now it does feel a little bit unfulfilling. It feels like it kind of comes out of nowhere. It feels like it just kind of like jumps out at you and goes a little bit more over the top than you would expect, given the build up to this scenario. And the second thing I didn't love as much, it's a little slow. Again, I said I like the slow burn. I'm all contradictions today. I did like the slow burn. I liked the mystery. I liked that, but it does feel a little bit slow. It kind of builds and builds towards this like ending sequence that again feels over the top. So you have kind of like two dichotomies here. You have a very, very slow progression with some great effects, some great music, some wonderful 80s feel. And then you have a like ramp up for this over the top, out of left field ending. And it feels like they're kind of polar opposites. And so because of that, you have a very long, slow buildup, which can be fun because you're wondering what's going on, but also can mean you're wondering what will happen next. So sorry, all contradictions here. This was a film that I expected to love a lot more. I still liked it a lot. I ultimately recommend that you watch it, but I was hoping it would be better than X, and it is, somewhere in between X and Pearl. So definitely check out MaXXXine when it comes to theaters on July 5th, 2024. And if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. I'm going to go really quickly into a recap and the ending. So if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some big surprises in the ending. I would turn off now because there will be spoilers. So MaXXXine starts off with the same like 5 or 6 minute clip that was in the sneak peek. If you saw X in theaters, like last week, I guess, or the week of, I don't know what week it was, June 20 something or other. You have seen the first 6 minutes of MaXXXine. It starts with a like home video of MaXXXine as a kid and her father trying to coach her up, trying to mold her into his image. She's really cute. She's a little kid. She's moving around and she starts to say her like catchphrase of like, I will not accept a life I don't deserve. And as she's saying that, her father critiques her and stops her and says, slower, say it with conviction. And so you can see at a young age, her father's trying to like influence her. And I don't know, maybe that is a reason that MaXXXine went on a very different direction in her life. We don't know because then we see her auditioning for this movie, The Puritan 2. It is the sequel to a cult classic. She is auditioning for the main part. The audition is interesting. Like they bring up that she is an adult star. She's like acting is acting and she kills the audition. She does a fantastic job. And then she gets in her Mercedes convertible and drives away. Now, a few things you can see after this. You see some really amazing like 80s aspects to it. As she's driving away, you've got some great 80s music. You've got some really nice 80s style text, like, I don't know, like a Miami Vice kind of text that comes on to like have the director and some of the key people as she's driving away. You got some nice like scan lines and things like that from like a VHS tape. It looks fantastic. And you can tell that Ty West really dove in to make this an 80s movie. Now, few things about MaXXXine. She is an adult film star. She's trying to break it in Hollywood, trying to get on like mainstream Hollywood movies. She lives above a video store, and one of her friends is like the owner, manager of this video store. They watch horror movies together, which I don't know, maybe that is part of why MaXXXine wants to be in the Puritan too. Who knows? But she has a good relationship with him, and she also has a couple other friends who are in the similar industry as her, adult film stars, dancers, things like that. Now, eventually, MaXXXine gets her break. She gets the role in The Puritan 2, and the director is Elizabeth, I forget her last name, played by Elizabeth Debicki, and she sees something in MaXXXine. She sees that X factor that MaXXXine has and is taking a chance on her. Her producers didn't want to go with her. They didn't want an adult film star, but Elizabeth kind of sees something in her and wants to give her shot. So later, MaXXXine gets this VHS tape delivered to her apartment. It's like someone knocks on the door, leaves the tape, and gets out of there. When she opens it, it is a tape that says like police evidence on it, and it says for MaXXXine. She puts it in, and what is it? It is the video that was being made in X, that movie that was being created in X. It is that movie, and there's only one copy of it. It is presumably at the X murder scene, and the police presumably have it. And now MaXXXine has a copy of it. So this person knows who MaXXXine is, knows her past, and wants to like highlight that to her. Now, this I think causes her some consternation because she has tried to run from that past. She has tried to change her image. She tried to like disassociate from that past. I think she changed her name. I think she tried to like get away from that, and now it seems like maybe all the events of X are coming back to find her. Now, Like I said, Maxine has some friends who are like dancers or adult film stars. They seem to be turning up dead. One of her friends works at the landing strip with her, and she tells her about this party in the Hollywood Hills that she's going to. And another of her friends that she meets after her shift and walks home with at night tells her about a party as well. They both later end up dead with like pentagrams burned into their skin. So is it a coincidence? Did they just have bad luck? Or did two of Maxine's friends end up both getting killed in a similar manner? Yeah, we'll find out pretty soon. Now, eventually, Maxine gets a note with a number on it, and when she calls a number, it is someone who says that they are at the Bonaventure Hotel and she needs to meet them there in an hour. The note itself was written on a page from a yearbook with Maxine's picture on it. So again, you get the sense that whoever is like contacting her, trying to influence her, knows her past. They found the X tape. They sent her a yearbook photo with like a picture of her and a persona that she has tried to like run away from. So they seem to know who Maxine is, and now she's going to meet them. Well, at the Bonaventure, we meet this person. It is a private eye who's played by Kevin Bacon. He is a PI who is looking for her. He was hired specifically to find her. He says that his client wants to meet her, and he gives her an address in the hills. And like pretty early on, I was like, okay, her client must be her father. Like her client must be her religious father who is trying to find his like wayward daughter. Remember at the end of X, we saw a broadcast of her father talking about how her daughter was like lost, and then right before the ending of X, they like revealed the picture, and you can see it's Maxine. Her father was trying to find Maxine, saying that Maxine like fell into vice. She kind of was, and so it seems like her father is probably continuing to look for her. You don't know that for a fact, but is fairly obvious. So Maxine doesn't go to this address. I don't think she wants to kind of approach that yet. But there are some detectives who are looking for her, and they approach her when she gets back to her house and ask her about her friends who are dead. And Maxine doesn't want to help them. She doesn't want to get involved. She doesn't want to get involved with the police. And so she just ignores them and goes away. Now, all these distractions, the detective's talking to her worried about, her past showing up in X. She sees Pearl, like old serial killer Pearl, everywhere. Like she'll see her in windows, she'll see her in the mirror. She sees her all over. One of the really interesting scenes is she goes to like the Bates Motel, the like actual like Bates Motel from the movie. It's on the lot that she is filming the Puritan 2 on. And she looks up in the mirror where the mother is, and she sees Pearl up there. So Maxine is getting distracted by that. Also, when she was talking to the detectives, that made her late for work. So all these distractions are potentially bad for Maxine's career. When she is late for work because talking to detectives, the director, Elizabeth, basically says, like, don't waste my time again. If you do waste my time again, I'll have the second best actor who is frothing at the bit for this part on a plane before you know it. So Maxine has to do something, because if her past comes out, then all those murders like are going to come back to bite her. But if it keeps distracting her, if this keeps affecting her, she's going to lose her big shot in Hollywood. So well, we'll see what she does. Now, she does get frustrated by our little friend, the PI, because he is following her again. He's like following her off the Universal lot with a camera, like filming her. She loses her cool. She grabs her keys, turns it into like a Wolverine claws thing, and goes up to him and just like punches him in the face with her keys, like bloodies up his face. A little extreme. I mean, a little bit extreme, Maxine, but I guess it's effective because he is in pain. She like messes up his car and then drives away. He doesn't follow her, so I guess, maybe that was the right call. Probably not. Generally don't do that, but she at least was able to get away. Now, later on, her friend who runs the video store that was below Maxine's apartment is brutally murdered. And we find out that the PI is working with the murderer. We've seen this murderer before. All we've seen though are his like black gloves and the fact that he is like very strong. He like went to a peep show, and I think maybe Maxine was there. It was tough to tell, but it feels like Maxine was there. And when he was there, he like was gripping the bar in his little peep show room so hard that he broke it. Here he is, we see his gloves, and he stabs Maxine's friend to death with a knife. And we also find out that this person, this killer, is working with the PI, because after the murder, after he kills Maxine's friend, he gets in the car and the PI is there and says something about how like you're taking it all the way or something like that. So seems like they are in cahoots. Now later, that PI shows up at the lot where Maxine is filming with a gun and says, it's time to pay for your sins. Now Maxine runs, and it's weird because you would think that someone would notice this person like running after her with a gun. No one seems to know. She runs through some sets. She runs away from him. At one point, she like runs right past the security guard. You would think she would like tell him, like say, "Hey, do something." She doesn't. She keeps running. The PI follows her. Eventually, she makes it to the Norman Bates Psycho Hotel. She gets into the house, closes the door, and tries to hide. And as the PI is about to enter, that security guard that she ran by earlier, who she should have just like stopped and asked for help, sees him, asks him for his badge, realizes something weird is going on, and escorts him off the lot. So she was able to escape. But for how long? Well, Elizabeth is noticing all these things, and she comes up to Maxine later and is like, basically like, you need to sort your shit out. Like she doesn't know what is going on, but she says, these distractions are going to be bad for the movie. They're going to be bad for you. Take the weekend, figure it out, come back to work on Monday. So now Maxine has a timeline. She's got to get this stuff figured out by Monday. She decides to do just that. So that night, she gets all dressed up. She goes and meets the PI at a bar and lures him into a bathroom. And you think like, okay, maybe she's going to kill him there. Nope, no, she doesn't do that. She escapes out the window of the bathroom. Now the PI is frustrated. He runs out of the bar to find her. And when he gets out there, he gets ambushed by one of Maxine's friends. That person knocks him out with a baseball bat. They take him to a junkyard and he wakes up in his car in a junkyard in a compactor. Not good for him. He's handcuffed here. He's in a compactor. We see that friend who helped knock him out. He like is the junkyard owner, and Maxine's agent slash lawyer is there. Her agent is going to try to make things better. He doesn't want her to lose her chance, so he's trying to like get rid of her distractions, like Elizabeth said. Well, that distraction, one of those distractions is the PI, and Maxine and the agent and then decide to crush that car while he's in there. So a little extreme. I thought this was a big step, but I guess it gets rid of the distraction. Now, when that car does crush, a bunch of blood comes out, and it looks much more watery than I was expecting. I think it's by design though, because earlier when they were filming a scene for the Puritan 2, Elizabeth mentioned that like bad, blood is really tough to get right in the movies, and bad blood is very noticeable. So I think this was a callback to that scene when they like crush the car and just this like river of blood that looks pretty watery comes out. I don't know. I've never crushed a car with a person there. Maybe that is what it's supposed to look like, but I don't think that is. So now that one distraction is taken care of, Maxine decides to get rid of the other one. So she gets that address for the envelope, and heads up to the hills. Now, she realizes that something is going on because she remembers that both of her friends, before they died, said that they were heading up to the hills for some sort of party. And so she thinks that it's all related. She thinks that this is going to be her answer, and she gets up there. Now, when she gets to the hill, to the address, she enters the house and climbs up the stairs. It seems empty. She's looking for someone, and when she's climbing the stairs, she hears something. She hears that video that we saw at the start, that video of Maxine as a kid being kind of coached by her father, like learning how to like, I don't know, perform, be a star, be a church star. And so she hears that, she goes to see it, she finds the TV that's playing it, and then she sees her father. Her father's there, and is her father explains to her that he's finally found her. He's been looking for her. He's been trying to find her, and he is here to get her. But also, he is making a film about a film called "Exposing Hollywood," where he's going to expose Hollywood for like the den of corruption and Satanism that it is. Um, Ironically, in order to do this, he is kidnapping people who have been corrupted, aka Maxine's friends, and trying to get them to like confess and like killing them on screen as part of his film about exposing Hollywood. So he's kind of like committing sins. He's kind of like committing crimes and sins to expose Hollywood. And he says that Hollywood took his girl, Maxine, and so he finally has her back and he's going to use her for the climax of the movie. And we find out what the climax is pretty quickly. We see Maxine tied up. She's tied up outside in like the middle of a pool with all these followers, cultists, whatever you want to call them, around her. And her father's there, and he is going to perform an exorcism, trying to like get the demons out of her so they can get his daughter back. He tells her to perform. He tells her to like just play along. So I can't tell if he is serious because he's a fire and brimstone preacher, or if he is using this to like further his career and wants Maxine to like help him and kind of become that daughter that he always was trying to raise. Now, one thing I was curious about is like as Maxine was going to this house, the cops were following. The cops were like pursuing, they were tagging along, making sure that everything was fine. And so when Maxine is tied up here, you would think the cops would have come and like stopped it. They don't. They don't. They just apparently are watching, observing as this exorcism happens. But eventually they do get involved. They jump in, they get noticed, and a shootout begins. And it is an over-the-top shootout. You've got like 12 of the cultists, each of them like pulled out a different gun. The cops are there firing, the cultists are firing. Maxine is trying to like hide and avoid everyone. Eventually she cuts the rope that's holding her and gets a like shotgun and tries to go pursue her dad. And also gets a shotgun, and she doesn't kill anyone. The all the cultists are all dead, but the cops both try to go pursue her dad, who has like run up into the Hollywood Hills. So the house is in the Hollywood Hills. He's running up towards the Hollywood sign. Great, like big 80s movie ending. They all pursue him. Maxine pursues him as well with a shotgun. They get up there. And again, this is like this ending is interesting because it does feel very much like an 80s movie. Like you got this big crazy reveal. He's like filming this movie about exposing Hollywood. He is like killing people in order to do that. And then you have this like crazy shootout. It feels way over the top. The justification feels a little sketchy, but I think that's by design. I think it's supposed to be that way because it is kind of like in the vein of some of the like over the top 80s movies that we've seen. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a mixed bag. It's fine. Um, so going back to the Hollywood sign, they're all going up to the Hollywood sign and they're pursuing Maxine's father. And both of the cops end up getting shot. The first is the male cop. He is an actor. He is overplaying the cop role throughout, which is a very fun little meta. Like he is an actor who is a cop and he's like overplaying like the gruff cop in all of the scenes to try to like, be a more effective cop. It is a fun little like never-ending cycle. He unfortunately gets shot and has a very dramatic death scene at the Hollywood sign. The other cop, the female cop, gets a little farther, but she also gets shot and like falls down the hill in an over-the-top, like falling down, dramatic death scene. But she is able to shoot Maxine's father. So Maxine's father is injured. He is down. Maxine finally gets there. She stands above him. She has a shotgun. And she tells him her creed. They're like, I will not accept a life I do not deserve. She says that to him. Her father says that he failed her. He like couldn't save her. And Maxine says, you didn't fail me, Daddy. You gave me what I needed, divine intervention. And I don't know if this was a reference to like in X where when Pearl is trying to shoot her and the gun like kind of backfires and hurts Pearl as much as it hurts Maxine. That I think was reference to divine intervention. Maybe it was here. Maybe the like divine intervention got her up here and like guided her. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but in any event, you have a helicopter above, a police helicopter with a light on Maxine, telling her to stop, telling her not to do anything. Maxine don't care. She takes the shotgun, takes out her dad in a gruesome, death scene. And apparently the cops don't care because the next thing we see that this was all good publicity. We see that The Puritan 2 is an anticipated movie. Maxine is doing press for it. She's also apparently sold her life rights for a new movie directed by Elizabeth. So it seems like they're going to be working together. It seems like Elizabeth has taken a shine to Maxine and she's going to make it in Hollywood. Now, we're then taken back to like some of the scenes from The Puritan 2, some of the filming scenes. And in this time, Maxine is getting ready to go film some scenes, and she's in front of the mirror and she has a different creed. Before it was always like, I will not accept a life I do not deserve. Well, now she looks in the mirror and says, you're a fucking movie star. And so it's nice. Like she has a new creed, she has made it, and she wants to continue. Now, we also see her doing an interview, and the interviewer asks her, what do you want to do next? And she says that she just doesn't want it to end. So it seems like Maxine is going to continue in Hollywood. She's made it, and she's going to continue to like hustle and get her star higher and higher. That is one of the things that Elizabeth told her, that she had to like constantly be doing this because when you're not doing it, you're dead. Maxine doesn't want to be dead. She wants to be a movie star, and so she's going to keep doing it. And so Maxine has made it. A little bit of blood and violence along the way, but she is finally at it. She's finally the star that she has always wanted to be. Will she be able to continue doing it? Will she be able to stay on top? Well, who knows? We'll have to see if Ty West decides to make another movie, maybe like a 90s buddy cop movie. Why not? I'm sure he could. But for now, that is the conclusion of the like X Pearl Maxine trilogy with Maxine. Like I said, I think you should watch it. It was a tough call because I didn't like this movie as much as I expected to, but I did enjoy it overall. The style is fantastic. Mia Goth's performance is amazing. There's a lot of good practical effects, and it continues the story. It continues Maxine's journey in a very different type of movie. So I think you should check it out. If you do, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.